This is Legally Speaking. I'm Matt Topolski, and I'm being joined by Walker, Texas lawyer, also known as Jim Walker. How are you, sir?
I'm good.
And before we went to break, we were talking about the different types of insurance. And let me ask you, what exactly constitutes full coverage? When the insurance company says you have full coverage, what do they mean?
Well, they mean that you have liability coverage, which protects the other person if you're at fault, and collision coverage, which covers the vehicle, and in most cases the bank, because most people are driving cars that the bank financed. If the car is paid for, of course, you get that money. There are two other types of insurance, uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage and PIP coverage, personal injury protection coverage, that I also recommend.
Let's talk about the underinsured motorist coverage, for example. What would be an example of a case in which you would need something like that?
Well, one example is a standout example to me is if you're driving a motorcycle.
Okay.
You should absolutely, without hesitation, have uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage along with the liability and collision. Motorcycle accidents tend to be very devastating. They tend to be very catastrophic injuries. And even if the person who hits you that's at fault has coverage, minimum limits in a motorcycle accident rarely are going to be enough because the injuries are so severe to the motorcycle driver. I wholeheartedly recommend that you carry uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage. That way you can go to an excess coverage on your own policy to pick up the differences when the other coverage does, what the defendant's carrier doesn't cover. And I know that sounds very confusing, but think of it this way. Maximum limits of $30,000 right now will not cover you very far if you're involved in a motorcycle accident.
Right.
If you have an additional $30,000 and UM and UIM coverage, underinsured motorist coverage, you're talking about a great deal more money. And I would recommend that you carry personal injury protection insurance, which would pay for part of your medical bills and lost wages, because you're certainly going to have lost wages and medical bills in a motorcycle accident. I've handled very few motorcycle cases that did not result in policy limits claims.
So basically, many people that have motorcycle insurance right now, the insurance they're picking up is really just protecting the other person.
Right.
They're not really protecting themselves. And in the case of you taking your motorcycle and crashing into a car, who is going to be the victim of more damage?
Excellent example is that people driving motorcycles are the ones that are going to suffer the most injury. Car on motorcycle, the motorcycle is going to lose. So it's only common sense that you carry more insurance for a motorcycle than if you're driving your dually around, okay? Right. It's important to carry underinsured and uninsured motorist coverage and PIP on a motorcycle. Think of yourself, not just the other guy. Think about yourself and your family, by the way, not just the other guy. You need that coverage for you and your family.
Absolutely. We're going to pick it up in a moment because I want to talk about the average motorist and how much it would actually cost for them to pick up this coverage that we're talking about. Because right now, you see many things on TV. There are certain insurance companies that are out there offering their services at low-ball prices just to keep you legal and safe on the roadway. Those are two very different things. So if you would stay with me, sir.
Okay.
More with Legally Speaking in a moment.